What's up, folks?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. I believe this is episode 2, if you're watching them in order, which you should. There's there's long plot arcs, deep serialization. This is the Michael and Kevin Show, aka Marketing for Coaches. It's me, Mario, also known as Kevin. Michael is here today, and we are going to chat about, well, something probably very near and dear to your hearts, but I don't know. I think it's a good question. It's got a really funny answer, a really obvious answer, but Michael, what are we going to talk about today? Besides what we've already been talking about and got us both cracked up.
I would like to talk about long plot arcs and serialization of this podcast. and how we can weave some of that in, because that sounds brilliant.
Sign me up. On like a season 2 of Justified kind of situation where they're episodic and they stand alone, but there's a big story tying the whole season together. We're gonna try and have Margot Martindale on.
So good, so good. I love it. To try desperately to get back on topic, which is not easy for either of us today. No. We've been chatting for about a half an hour before we hit record. One-on-one versus group coaching. Which is better? You've already read this in the title of the video, so I don't know why I'm saying it out loud, but for the sake of scripting.
It's nice to hear. It's nice to hear. This is a good question because the answer is yes. And I love questions to which the answer is yes, that aren't yes or no questions. Obviously, and this is something I get to talk about a ton. We both get to talk about this a ton with our coaching podcasts. Because one of the questions I always ask coaches is sort of like what did you know and when did you know it style, like interrogation questions, like who do you coach and how do you coach them, is a question I ask pretty much everybody I talk to. And the how is always interesting because pretty much regardless of the size of a coach's business, they do one-to-one coaching because almost everyone gets their start doing one-to-one. That remains where so much of the magic is. There's just something about that, and every coach will swear up and down it's maybe one of the best feelings in the world, that moment when you're coaching somebody and they get it, something locks in, it just dawns on them, and you can see the light hit their face, and like you see things open up for them, and it's truly magical. But of course, you are only one person, and that's the thing. One-to-one, the inherent limitations are kind of right there. It's like you only have 24 hours in a day. You only get 7 days a week and 365 days a year. And, once every 4 years, you get that extra day to coach. But really, when you get to a point where you want to try to find some of that same magic, but you want to reach more people or even amplify the effects of your coaching. And that's, I think, where one of the big steps that a coach will make is to start a group coaching program. And that can look like a couple of different things, where maybe you coach teams that are already teams in a company or in an organization of some kind, and you coach them as a unit. Or you start your own kind of like mastermind group, or just a group of like-minded individuals, people interested in the same things. Maybe they're in the same industry. Maybe they have similar ambitions, and they basically are united by you and their interest in going down that road. And so what you could do is you get this sort of network effect. I have to use the word, this synergistic effect when you're coaching in a group where the members of the group will start to coach each other. And your coaching will begin to have this amplified sort of Grand Canyon effect where you can hear your coaching being sort of adapted and mirrored back to other people. It's really dynamic and really fascinating if you can pull it off. And quite frankly, I think every coach can if they want to. And it's a really good way, I think, to really do something that we talk about a lot, you and I, is amplifying a coach's voice and amplifying their impact, their ability to reach more people with the same kind of effectiveness and the same kind of magic that they experience in the one-to-one. I don't know, what kind of conversations do you have about that with coaches? I'm sure you have just as many as I do.
I do. I mean, well, we've both got the podcasts, so I have these conversations with coaches, every week. Yeah. I think that I'm having difficulty getting past the part where you said the light shines on their face when they do one-on-one coaching. The clouds part. The clouds part. The angels sing hallelujah. The light comes down. It's King Arthur lifting the sword from the stone. And you're not wrong, right? It's a great feeling when that happens.
Yeah.
I think ultimately, I think it's about your avatar, right? It's about your ideal client, and those are completely different avatars. The one-on-one client versus the group coaching or mastermind client, even. I mean, you're talking about three different avatars there, really, right? The one-on-one client is the one who's going to have more money to spend. They're probably going to be in a leadership role of some kind. They're going to be in some kind of role that impacts a lot of things, a lot of people, and that sort of thing. And then group coaching with teams or doing masterminds, those are great ways, obviously, to just scale what you do and impact more people in arguably to a slightly lesser extent, arguably. But I mean, yeah, I think honestly, it really just depends on who your avatar is and who your target market is. Generally speaking, as you already mentioned, starting out doing one-on-one stuff, you're going to learn a lot more that way, faster. You're going to get more immediate feedback from working one-on-one with someone. As a new coach, I would not recommend coming hot out of the gate and being, I'm going to do a mastermind. Well, you don't have any experience. You don't have any experience coaching. How are you going to coach, 20 people at once or 12 people at once, right? By the way, I'm a big fan of putting a cap on masterminds so that, like 12 people. I think 12 is what they figured out for like classrooms in schools where students are able to get enough personal attention to really succeed. So that would be kind of a number that I would look at. And if it's not 12, maybe 12 isn't the right number, but, look up some kind of data on that and find out what the data says, right? And build a cap around that. I think it's 12. And I'm talking in circles at this point. That's it. That's what I got.
I can totally jump in there because I love that you brought that up, because I was talking to a coach, interviewed him for the podcast. He's one of my favorites. I had him back on to talk, well, specifically about this, but also about other stuff, but specifically about him launching a group mastermind. He wasn't calling it a mastermind. That's sort of like a shorthand term. At this point now, it's just a term for small group dynamic coaching. And he had the idea of a class size or a group size of around like 6 to 8. Because of the way the group dynamics can kind of spark. You get much bigger than like 10 or 12, and you begin to fracture into smaller groups just very naturally in the way humans organize themselves. And that can be useful in different ways as well. In fact, you can leverage that if you do want to do larger group coaching. You can leverage the way that people naturally tend to shrink down their sort of cohort into sizes of like 4 to 6 or maybe 8, depending on the dynamics. But when you have it there, the way that things kind of spark and can catch, and the way that you can watch, again, people begin to do some of the work that you would normally be doing yourself. Like they are passing the coaching hat around the group in a very fascinating way.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, essentially what you're talking about, right, is designing, you're talking about product design, right? Designing the product around your ideal outcome. And one of those considerations is the size of the group, right? Because yeah, definitely a group of 6 people is going to behave like if you're not even taking yourself out of the group, 6 is going to behave and be different than a group of 12, which is going to be distinctly different than a group of 20. and you can, that's, I guess, yeah, that'd be just one consideration of a choice that you could make as you're designing your product, right? As you're designing your mastermind, your group coaching, for your ideal outcome, thinking about, what is it that we want to do here and how do we want to do it? And can I use group dynamics to help me get from here over to here?
And I like the little emphasis you put there on me. So that's why everything starts with one-to-one, because you're not just going to do it the way that you've learned that other people have done it successfully. What you want is any group coaching that you do to be a natural outgrowth of your coaching, your one-to-one, your foundational coaching. It'll be the best expression of what you're doing, who you're trying to serve, and the way in which you're trying to serve them. And that's why, again, like you were saying, like you really want to get a handle on your coaching, who you are, how you are in the world, who you're serving, how you're serving them, develop your programs, your systems, work on your skill sets, kind of flex those adaptability and empathy muscles, those vulnerability muscles that are so crucial to being a coach for leaders and teams, and then grow from there.
And here's another idea that I'll throw out there: eat your own dog food. If you're not part of a group coaching program or a mastermind yourself, you're doing yourself a disservice, especially if you're going to go out there and lead something like that. Join 1 or 2 or 3 different ones or 4 different ones, right? Learn what you like and what you don't like about those scenarios, about the group dynamics, right? Maybe, one of them that you join meets once a week, and maybe another one meets 4 times a week, and you're in both of those, and you're like, wow, this once a week thing is really not working for me. I'm not getting enough out of this, and the 4 times a week is insane. I can't keep up with it. Right? I mean, so you can learn stuff. So like, then maybe you're gonna design your mastermind around, maybe a group meeting once a week and a private one-on-one once a week or something like that, right? Throwing ideas out off the top of my head.
That's good. Good.
Spitballing, if you will.
Spitballing, as you will. It's one thing I love about these little conversations is that there are so many jumping off points. I feel like every single one of these that we do, I have ideas for 6 more, which is great because we're going to be able to do this in perpetuity. So to bring it back around to the beginning, to sum up, 1-to-1 versus group coaching, the answer is yes.
There's nothing wrong with either.
Yeah, nothing wrong with either. Sometimes both and. Why not both? Says the meme with the little shrugging girl. Anyway, I just wanted to sum that up. I think we got in and we got out in a timely fashion. I love these conversations with you. I'm looking forward to more. And yeah, I think I don't know. Maybe I'll have to surprise you with the next topic. We'll see. And maybe I will do less funny stuff before I hit record so that you're a little less distracted. That's totally on me. I introed with, all sorts of plot arcing, and I referenced Justified. So of course I derailed us before we even began. But thank you for getting back on the train with me today. It's been fun.
doing what I can.
And hey, you know the deal. Like, share, subscribe, click on the things that need to be clicked on. Please love us. We need validation. We need it so bad. Please give it to us. Give us the digital validation that we need to feel good about the work we're doing. And also
slow your roll. Slow your roll, Kevin. Slow your roll. You gotta buy him. You gotta buy him dinner first.
I mean, can we do DoorDash? That's enough out of me. That's enough out of you. And we'll talk to you again here soon.